This is a story called The Toys and Parks of Bygone Years. As a child growing up during the 70s and 80s, it was like living in a completely different world to the one we live in today. Back then, kids were kids. We had respect for our elders as well as each other. We played with toys such as the space opera. This was an orange inflatable ball with handles. You'd sit on them and bounce. I had one of these and it was so much fun. You'd direct it in a certain direction and it would go in a different direction, which was quite funny. There was a spider craft game where you chose the pattern you wanted, and then I think you put coloured pencil or felt tape in the middle on a piece of paper and created the pattern. This is something I failed miserably to do, but I still had fun trying. I had a few Cindy dolls over the years of which I loved playing with. I remember I had the Cindy caravan, which wasn't very good quality because it used to constantly fall apart. I've lost count of how many times I put it back together and of how many times my dad glued it. I didn't care because I loved it. I used to take her to my friend's house because she had the Cindy car. We used to pretend to take our dolls away on holiday or just out for a drive. I remember some of my friends who were boys had the Action Man and he'd marry Cindy. I remember the Girls' World doll. You'd do her hair and put makeup on her and make her look pretty. I had one of these and both me and my big sister had a Tiny Tears doll. We used to take her in the back with us and when you lifted her up, she'd wee. I remember some of my family and friends had the Rally Chopper bike. These bikes had long seats, high handlebars, a gear stick in the middle and a bar as a backrest. I had many saddles on these. When I was 10.5 years old, my parents bought me a Peppo doll for Christmas, of which I still have minus her fingers and toes. Her name's Caitlin Isabella Ann. When I was 11.5, my parents bought me a normal hand puppet for Christmas. That same Christmas, my nana bought me a knitted Care Bear, which I still have, and her name's Bella. I remember the clackers because they were lethal. I don't remember having any, but I can remember other kids playing with them. There was a lot of dangerous toys from the 70s and 80s that no parent would allow their kids to play with today. These toys wouldn't even be allowed to be sold in shops today. There was the lawn darts. These were heavy metal tipped darts aimed at ring targets. They caused over 6,000 injuries and 3 deaths and were banned in 1988. There was the clackers, which I mentioned above. These were 2 acrylic or glass balls on a string. When they were swung rapidly, they'd bang together and shatter spraying plastic or glass shrapnel and were banned in 1981. The creepy crawlers thing maker allowed children to mould plastic goop on a hot plate reaching 400 Fahrenheit and causing severe burns and releasing toxic fumes. The Battlestar Galactica Viper fired small red missiles at high speed. This caused a choking hazard that led to the death of a 4-year-old child, resulting in safety warnings. The original Easy Bake oven used to use 100-watt incandescent light bulbs. This caused severe burns if a child touched a hot metal and posed a fire hazard. I remember the parks that we played on. They were lethal because there was no health and safety measures in place. I can remember there'd be one kid sat on the swing and one kid stood behind them on the same swing. We'd fly so high that we'd almost fly over the top of the swing frame. When we were swinging on a swing, we'd jump off in mid-air. If you landed on your feet, you didn't get hurt. But if you landed on any other part of your body, boy oh boy, did you know about it. Did you learn from this experience? No, you didn't, because you went back time and time again and did the exact same thing. The tall net slides were as tall as houses at 10 to 16 feet high. In the summer, they became so hot they caused burns, and when you got to the end, there was no soft landing, just hard concrete. We didn't really care because we was having fun. However, if you were at the top of the slide and you decided you didn't want to go down because you didn't want to burn your bum or your legs, you had no choice, because there'd be about 10 kids queuing up behind you waiting for their turn. The roundabouts were very large steel platforms that spun extremely fast. They were so fast that kids would fall off, and those spinning them would often get hurt. The tall metal climbing frames were over 10 feet high. If you fell off, boy oh boy did you know about it, because there was no soft landing, just concrete. Sometimes when you fell off, you'd really hurt yourself and maybe needed hospital treatment. If you didn't get hurt, then you were very, very lucky. Seesaws were made of wood and metal, and they're called splinters. If someone jumped off whilst the person on the other end was still in the air, boy oh boy did it hurt them. You didn't care, you just thought it was funny, except when it happened to you, then you knew about it. We lived in a completely different world back then, not just during the 70s and 80s, but during the decades before that. Now it's 2026 and kids of today don't know what playing outside on the streets and parks is like. This is because it's just not safe for them to do in today's world, which is a huge shame. All today's kids do is play video games, watch TV, play on their electronic gadgets and go on social media, which is to blame for a lot of evilness and badness in today's world. Now I'm going to share the memories of toys and parks from bygone years that other people have shared with me. Facebook. I can remember my sister 2 years younger than me and still in nappies and frilly knickers, maybe 18 to 20 months old. In Bramley Park there was a big slide and a little slide for the little kids. My sis went straight for the big slide, ran up the steps and yelled bombs away as she slid down. When my parents decided to move me from the baby swings to the big ones, I let go and fell backwards onto my head. That explains a few things. Facebook. The parks were educational with elements of risk, from tall slides and roundabouts to climbing structures. A park I frequented had an old steam roller to play and climb on. Lots of children had bumps and grazed knees and bruises and the occasional limb in a plaster cast. We didn't have the spongy soft landing they have today. You'd wait your turn if all the kids had the roundabout going too fast or the multi-person rocker was going too high. Your parents would scan the situation and advise you to stay away if they deemed it too risky for your age. Today's parents often catch their kids before they fall. Tears, laughter and occasional pain, all in a childhood I wouldn't swap. Facebook. My uncle told me he actually saw the steamroller roll into Pudsey Park. Facebook. Hours of fun at Pudsey, Armley and Bramley Parks. Hundreds of children with respect would gladly wait their turn and make new friends. Facebook. Played with scraps, skipping ropes, yo-yo, slinky, board games. Cluedo was my favourite. Card games such as Old Maid, Happy Families, Snap and Patience. Dolls and prams, of course, then bikes and scooters and sledging in the winter. Facebook. Oakley Play Park down from Erskine Wind 70s. The most dangerous equipment was a cheese cutter which I loved. It was where I met my to-be husband when I was 9, married him when we were 19. Facebook. Played in Victoria Park in Bygone in Dundee as a youngster. Cycled about 2 miles to get there regularly. It had a tall brass shoe which the local lads polished with brass or duralite. Boy, did you slide fast. The park also had monkey bars, a cheese cutter and a witch's hat. Great entertainment which didn't cost a penny. Facebook. So many little things we played with back then was full-on entertainment. We'd play out all day until the street lights came on. Then we knew it was home time. A football was used for Kirby, a can for kick can and hoppy, jacks on the little rubber ball, whip and top, marbles, tig, hopscotch. There were days. Now it's all technology. Kids either have their heads in their phones or are playing games on TVs. Facebook. Me and my mates used to sit at the top of the big slide on Stanley Park to listen to the top 40 on our trannies every Sunday. Facebook. Yep, every single memory of mine. Facebook. I can close my eyes and see myself back at an identical playground in London, feeling those icy metal bars. Facebook. That was before the days of health and safety. Wow, as I've been writing this, the memories have come flooding back. When it comes to getting off the seesaw, when the person on the other end was on the other end was something I love to do, especially to my best friend. I wish we could go back to the old world that we used to live in. I really do, with all my heart, but sadly we can't. Kids had so much freedom back then, unlike kids of today. Kids of today are trapped in a world full of video games and phones and other technology, which is very sad really. The end. Hope you like it, guys. Remember, if you're watching on Facebook, please feel free to like, share, comment and to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to like, share, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, peeps, and your loved ones.